Yeah. Yeah, that was kind of a bummer. I actually I graduated in like 2020. We started thinking about like we were like planning maybe to move to the city like when I graduated. And then so I think the idea like first crossed our minds like a few years before I graduated, and then it was like a total shitstorm, obviously. I don't know, can I swear? Okay, cool. Um Yeah, and we were actually on tour. It was like Laveda's first tour. We were supposed to play South by Southwest, and we were in Houston, I think, when like everything got really bad. And then we just like hunkered down at our drummer Joe's aunt's place in Houston. And we're just like watching the news, and we were like, we have to go. So then we drove all the way back to Albany in one shot, all the way from Houston. It was horrible. And that was that.
It was like it's like the like action movie or the horror movie where the nuclear bomb is exploding behind you and you're driving as quickly as possible to get out of there.
That's what it felt like. Felt like the day after tomorrow or something. Like
our friends were calling us, and like they were like, "Do you need toilet paper?" And I was like, "What? What are you talking about?" They were like, "There's no toilet paper in any of the stores. Like, you're not going to get any. We'll pick you up some." And I was like, "What the hell?"
That's a bro right there, though. That's a good friend.
Yeah. They also got us frozen pizzas.
Shout out Tori and Juliana, our drummer and bass players partners.
Yeah, we definitely, and we still have homies up in Albany. Like Tori and Joe still live up there, and so we always have kind of like a little tucked away home away from home up there, which is cool.
So this is kind of a funny aside, I guess. So they're at this point, I assume this is going to change soon. There just like aren't like a ton of interviews with you online, but one of them was from early 2020. I don't know if you have gone back and read this or remember it, but you were saying that the thing you were most scared of going on tour was catching the flu.
Oh my God. Wow. Yeah, I have not read that interview, but you bringing that to the front of my mind, I do remember saying that. That's so wild. That hurts a little bit.
And I think it's still our greatest fear.
Actually, on every single tour, I think, other than like a few shorter runs, one of us has gotten sick. Not with COVID, but like some like 24-hour, 48-hour cold or something. And it's just sucks. It's like the last place you want to be sick is when you're in a car and you don't have a home base. I think like when we were in El Paso in like 2023 or something, I got really sick and I didn't want anyone to know. So I just like stayed in the car while the guys were inside the venue, and then Jake came in and was like, "Al, it's time for us to play." And I was like, "Okay." And then I remember we played and it was horrible. And then afterwards I was like, "Guys, I'm sick as fuck right now."
That's funny because that is like 28 Days Later. Like that's the zombie thing where you got bit by the zombie but don't want to tell anybody else in the group.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't seen that movie yet, but that movie for some reason has been in the forefront of my mind. I don't know why. I've wanted to watch it.
There's a part 3 coming out.
Oh yeah, that's probably why I see the ads everywhere in New York for 28 years later.
Years later, yeah.
But yeah, still gotta watch the first one, so I can't watch that yet. I'll be confused, maybe.
So like at what point is it just like I'm going to be able to push through this, and at what point is it like, hey, we got to cancel the tour now?
I think like, if you wake up the next morning feeling a little bit better, then to me that's like, okay, I'm going to get through this. Thankfully we haven't had any anyone wake up the next morning feeling worse. Actually, wait. No, I think Joe got sick one time. But we had like 4 days off, so he was able to recover, and we kept going. So I don't know. I think it's also just like when you're so far out on tour and you're a smaller band, like the amount of money that you put into it and the time you take off, from your day job and all that stuff, you're like, God, we really just don't want to cancel this. So
how miserable is it playing sick? Because I suspect it's that kind of thing where you got the adrenaline going anyway because you're on stage, and maybe that counteracts it a little bit, and then when it finishes you just completely crash.
I don't know. I never get sick, so I can't.
It's
a humble brag.
Jake's the immune one of the group to every illness. I think, yeah. I mean, a couple times. I mean, I actually remember the show in El Paso pretty well, and I remember thinking that was one of my favorite shows. And afterwards, there were like a ton of people in the audience. Oh, well, I shouldn't say a ton, but there was a handful of people that were like trying to buy us drinks, and I was like, "Thank you so much, but no." Like they were like, "Let's do shots. Like we'll get shots for you guys," and I was like, "I got to get out of here." but the set itself was a great set, I thought. I don't know. I think maybe I was just locked in because I was like, I got to get through this.
Yeah. And also we love El Paso too. We love playing there. It's always a crazy show because we usually play Love Buzz when we go over there, and the shows there start at like 10 p.m. or something crazy like that. So we're usually coming off like an 8 to 9 hour drive coming from Austin.
We've only
done it twice. But like coming in there and having it be 10 p.m. and just like playing a set is like kind of like the craziest feeling after being in the car for 9 hours. It's usually like the longest drive of the tour that we do. It's Austin to El Paso that we have done at least. And it's just desert. There's nothing to look at. It's just, you're like, well, the car breaks down. We might be dead.
I've been to Austin a few times and some other cities in Texas. I've never been to El Paso. Like, obviously it's a border town. What's the vibe like down there?
It's desert. But I've never been to Mexico, but I mean, you can see it, like it's just right there. Which is pretty crazy. Like I remember we were driving and we were like, oh my God, we almost drove like accidentally into the border, like crossing. And we're like, that would have been really bad. It's like one way. They don't give you anywhere to like turn around too. If you like fuck it up, you're going to Mexico.
You live there now?
Yeah. But yeah, we've didn't we go to I wish I remember. Oh, Lucky's. Wasn't it called Lucky's Cafe or something? I don't know. I might be wrong. But there's this like really, really banging breakfast spot that we've hit both times, and it's just dirt cheap and some of the best food we've all ever had on tour, I think. So that's pretty much my El Paso experience right there.
It's a very memorable place.
I was thinking about this as I was kind of like reading up on your background a little bit, and the band had this like this very interesting path in towards like getting signed to a label. It's like pretty early on through an odd concurrence of things. You were signed to this Dutch label. Were you able to tour like internationally at all? Does that
the most international touring we've done has been over to Canada. We really want to go to Europe real bad. But we're kind of waiting to find like an agent that is able to do it, because like we could try to do it ourselves, but it's really hard to book a DIY tour. Like when there's so many other moving parts going on, like driving on the other side of the road and renting multiple different vehicles and flying gear over. So we haven't done that yet.
Well, it's also just like, I mean, it's also, I assume that it's changed a lot too in the past 6 months.
Yep. Yeah, just we played in Canada pretty recently. We played in Montreal, and like, you know, we kind of said like our little cute dig about the US, and you know, I love being, you know, I love the people in America, except for the people that are leading it. But we, you know, we said our 2 cents on, you know, the current political climate, and all the people at the venue are like, oh, we can get you citizenship. We'll figure it out. Like,
they were like, let's get like some guy in the audience. We'll get married right now. He was like talking to Joe, our drummer, and Joe was like, all right, let's do it.
Probably says that to all the boys.
I think so.
But it was kind of cool to feel, you know, as a musician, as an American musician, to feel like we still have camaraderie and love between us and our non-US counterparts. And I love Canada too. I would become a citizen if they would let me do it.
They don't want us.
Yeah.
It's funny, like I mentioned, I like almost exactly a year ago, I moved up from the city. I'm in Hudson Valley. Right? I'm actually like pretty much exactly at the midway point between the city and Albany.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. Hudson Valley is beautiful.
Yeah. But it is, but you know, it's like it's a real reminder, especially the last 6 months. Well, more than 6 months, you know, since the election, how much of a bubble I was in. You know, it's like here, especially, you know, it's always, I mean, again, this is like a really obvious thing to say, but generally when you get a lot of people who are living in close proximity, their politics tend to be fine. And then, you know, as you sort of go down the rural road, then you start seeing the Trump flags. But I mean, that's an interesting, I assume part of your experience traveling around is that you're seeing all these different parts of the country that you probably wouldn't have otherwise.
Yeah, like I would never have any reason to like go to Morgantown, West Virginia, but now we are for the first time as a band, at least. But I don't know. It's like you just like look at these places on a tour poster that you made or a friend of yours has made, and you're like, okay, I'm just going to this random place in the States for seemingly just to play music and meet whoever's there. And I think, you know, driving and seeing all, you know, the weird shit that you see while you drive in America.
All the Jesus billboards.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. All the shackled by lust poster or billboards. That's my favorite one personally. We always, every time we see one, we're like, oh, spotted. We're all shackled by lust. Sorry. But then once you get to the show, once you get to like the actual like venue, and you know, you start meeting the people that you're playing with, if you haven't met them yet already, it's just like you're entering like a little wormhole of safety most of the time, which is really cool. I feel like that's the powerful thing about music, especially in America.
Yeah, Morgantown. So I'm looking it up right now because I have zero familiarity with it should be an interesting experience. It looks like it's about 30,000 people. Like, how do you end up? I get El Paso. How do you end up in Morgantown?
So that's actually a funnier situation. I wish Dan was here because he'd have probably a better answer than I would. But I recently played bass on Dan's tour. He has his own project, and Dan's our bass player. And he really routed his tour so he'd have really short drives between every show. Because I think that's one qualm he's always had about Laveda tours is like, why are we driving 5 hours and then 5 hours again? And, you know,
reasonable,
very reasonable question to ask the people that booked the tour. But so one of the best shows that we had on his tour was in Morgantown, and we met a lot of really cool people through that like little niche music scene that they have going on over there, and it's really cool.
It's like the one DIY show on our July tour too, which I'm excited about. Because we love DIY shows. I think as I've gotten a little older, it's definitely harder sometimes to play DIY spaces because they can just be more cramped. You have to worry about hitting your head on a pipe or sometimes or like walking down the stairs and loading your gear like through like a impossibly small hallway or just stupid shit like that. But sometimes it's worth it, sometimes like the shows are just way better, especially in a lot of the smaller cities and towns throughout the country. I mean, not that St. Louis is small, but we played a house show in St. Louis last March of 2024, and our friends in the band Shady Bug helped set up the gig for us, and it was just an incredible show. Like, I couldn't ask for a better first show in St. Louis. So I think we always try and like incorporate DIY shows if we can and when it makes sense.
I'm from California originally. I went to school in Santa Cruz, and like that's the thing that I miss the most. That there's nothing. Sometimes you get like kind of a weird show in the city, but there's nothing like the house shows. And I'm always curious about how that comes together, how that gets incorporated into the tour, the economics. I mean, these are the ones like usually you're kind of passing the hat around at the end, right?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, a lot of them are like pay what you want at the door, cash only, or well, now people usually are taking Venmo. Yeah. So that's been cool because I mean, yeah, we'll just get paid. I mean, sometimes we'll make more money at a house show because even if people are just throwing, $10, the house is probably not taking a very large cut, whereas a venue is going to probably be taking a much greater percentage of the ticket sales and
pay people's salaries, like, at the show. Like they have to pay staff and stuff at.
Right. Whereas like it's more volunteer based, I think. At a house,
or like the person that booked it just like has a sound set up and then you just do it yourself. Like I feel like that happens a lot at house shows,
which can suck, but
I think it's kind of fun. I like it.
It's funny that so the last video I think is the Heaven video, and I was looking at your Facebook page and I realized like it seems to me that you basically decided to throw a party for yourself. It was your birthday, right? And then you kind of like did a music video around that.
Yeah, so it was so much going on actually. Like, so it was my birthday on the day we filmed the video, and also my good friend Claudio, or I should say he's my good friend now, but I was introduced to him through my friend Jana and my friend Tom, who both live at the house where we filmed the video. But it was his birthday too, so we have the same birthday. And then my friend Jana was like coming back from the Philippines. She was visiting her family. So she like literally came back into the apartment to like a whole sea of people that were drunk.
Was she aware that she was going to come back to that?
Oh yeah. And she was, she's the type of person like she would want nothing less than to return home to like a crazy party that's like, just like a faceted celebration of all these different things, of a birthday, filming a music video, her homecoming. Like it was unhinged, but in the best way. And yeah, they just have a really chill setup, where like their neighbors don't really care what happens. So like Joe is playing the drums.
Really, really lightly. He's playing lightly.
He was playing lightly. We only did like 4 takes. So we were being as respectful as we possibly could, but
I assume everybody who comes to the party knows that they're going to be on film, that's part of the deal. And then you just take 20 minutes out during the party and do the filming and then go back to the party?
Yeah, it was pretty much like people started coming in, and maybe like an hour and a half after like the majority of people had arrived, Adam, who directed the video, started like going around to people and being like, all right, like, what do you guys want to do? Like, I'm going to put you guys over here. And he's very natural when it comes to directing. Like, I don't think he has like a lot of experience directing, but he's been in film for a really long time. And he's like just trying to, I think, put his name out there as a director. And he's been so great to work with. And he's a great friend of ours now. So we're super, super pumped that he's like on our team. But yeah, he did a great job, and we got it done in like, I don't know, 30 minutes, which was crazy. It was like the fastest we've ever filmed anything.
Yeah. And the video is just the last take. Like, we just used one take.
And the only take that, Jayanna came home literally from the airport, and then we were like, all right, we're doing one more take. And then that was the take. And so she made it in, which is pretty funny.
So it sounds like everyone was kind of able to pick their bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, Adam had ideas that I think he sort of is like he definitely like suggested to people. Like our friend Andy, like who's Allie's sister's boyfriend. He was like Adam came up to Andy and he was like you're gonna be like the drunk like guy, you're gonna be like the guy who's acting all crazy.
I think he was asking for volunteers, and Andy was like, I want to do it. And then he was like, who wants to like be like, is anyone in a relationship, like who wants to like make out? And our friends Jackie and we're like, yeah, we'll do it. And I was like, hell yeah. It's funny because I love like hearing, like, since the video has been circulating now for a couple weeks, our friends and family's reactions. It's like, it's great. It feels like very much a video about not like us necessarily, but just about like our friends, which is really cool. And yeah, I think it's something I'll look back on fondly for sure. And it's funny. It's fucking stupid. So
it seems like you're kind of really leaning into the music video thing as a way of promoting the music, but also just sort of, I guess, just kind of being part of like, your whole deal.
Yeah, we're knock on wood gonna have videos for the whole record, which is gonna be a crazy thing that we've never done. We've had like visualizers and stuff, in the past for pretty much most of our stuff, but yeah, our last record we didn't really do that many videos. So, and it's just been really fun. It's also just great to work with somebody who is excited about it and is like, I don't know, just helping, because yeah, it's a lot of work to like organize, the music video stuff, just as a band. And I do enjoy it for sure, but it's been great to like have friends who are into it and want to help. You
said that having a music video for every song isn't something that you've done before, but I think you're underselling it. Like, that's just not something that people do generally.
No.
There aren't a lot of examples of that. Why did you end up like kind of leaning into that so much this time out?
I think it was really like meeting Adam and Mars. So Adam directed Heaven, and he's directing, or he directed the music video for Cell Phone, which is going to be out on July 16th, or is out, I guess, depending on when this interview comes out. And he directed the video for another single as well. And then his partner, Mars, she's also in film, and she was like she's been working on kind of all the videos too. She wanted to work with us more and was like, if you guys want to do any other videos, like, you know, I'd be down. And I was like, let's do it, because we just love hanging out with each other. And I think that's like, for me, like, when I hang out with my friends, I just want to like do art. Like last night we were at the bar until 4 a.m. and we were just drawing like with our friends. I don't know. That's just what we do. So
We're a bunch of weirdos.
Drinking and drawing.
A little paint and sip, but beer and doodle.
It's obviously like a good way of promoting things too, you know, like leaning into like social media and having these clips that you can share. And I'm wondering like how much, to what extent some of that is kind of an outgrowth of this band really getting started at the beginning of the pandemic and having to have gotten creative about the ways you're putting yourselves out there.
Yeah, I feel like it stunted our growth a little bit. Like, just because I think playing shows is like so important when you're like just starting out as a band. And we definitely got to do that, but when we were playing shows in 2019, we didn't really have any music out. We had one song out, which, you know, by today's standard is like nothing, because the algorithm wants you to put songs out like every week if you could, which is so crazy. But yeah, I don't know. I guess, yeah, I don't know.
I think you're saying like you need momentum early on, and it just completely like ground to a halt.
Yes, yeah, I would say that's correct.
I'm glad we're still doing it against all odds.
For real.
Well, I alluded to this before, this really kind of interesting part of your story, that you had this like, I don't know if this is a right word, but you had this kind of like viral success early on that seems to have really kind of gotten things started for you.
Yeah, like it's funny because it's not at all like what it literally just like fell into our lap. We just had like some demos on SoundCloud, and somebody it was goes by the artist named Conky. He like reached out to us and was like, I would love to like remix your track. And I was like, what?
You weren't going out of your way to find Polish DJs to remix your music?
No, I thought it was spam. I literally thought it was spam. I was like, what is this? And he was like, I love this song. And he made like a total dance like remix of this like ballad, essentially, that this acoustic guitar ballad that we had. And when we saw the label and everything, we were like, and we weren't actually like signed to that label. We just had like a sort of deal that we were like gonna split the royalties. It was just for the one song. And we were like, yeah, we'd be stupid not to do this, you know, because we saw how many like followers and streams and whatever. And I was like, whatever. And it definitely like, we ended up removing it from our profile and putting it like under a different secret name, because it just genre wise, the algorithm was like really not doing anything good for us. But I mean, it helped us definitely like, I think, have confidence. For me, it was like, oh, like somebody thinks this is cool, even if they're doing something that I wouldn't do with it. And it definitely pushed us to like feel confident in the fact that we could write and record, you know, more music. And we were like, we should do an album, you know, we should just do this. So, and I think we were kind of in a place, because Jake and I were in a band before, and we, you know, it was not a great experience towards the end, and shit kind of hit the fan in a messy way. And I think we were feeling pretty like bummed out about the way things like ended up. So it was cool to like have this sort of like, oh wait, we can still make music and still have fun, and we can do it our way. You know, we don't have to we don't have to like fit some mold. We don't have to like, we can just have fun.
It was such a bad experience that you were questioning whether you were going to keep making music?
Not me exactly. Basically we were just working with somebody. Like the band started as just like this fun, like high school kid bullshit thing where we were playing a lot of covers and originals and just trying to like learn how to do music, you know, if that makes sense. But then it kind of became a little different, like when we just met like this producer guy that was like definitely wasn't the right fit for us, but we were young and we're like, yeah, whatever you say, dude, just tell us like how to do music because we don't know how to do it. And then we realized that he also didn't know how to do music. So I was like, oh, this is probably just something I need to figure out on my own.
He was not doing it the fun way, that's for sure.
At least our way was fun.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know if it like was so. It wasn't like I was gonna stop making music after that, but for me, like I was never really like, when I was in that band, I was never really writing. I was just kind of performing like parts that were already written, and I had kind of started writing in my own time and was really like interested in having my own original music. And I think that whole experience was just like, I think it like, I don't know. It kind of fucked with my like self-esteem for sure. Like I was like, oh, I can't like the guy we were working with was a total misogynist and was like, yeah, like, you know, like you have to sing like this and like you have to like sing like light and airy. And I think unfortunately it took me a little bit to like just let go of that and like figure out what I wanted to do. But yeah, I guess there were like some growing pains after, even like with the start of Laveda, I think for me, but ultimately I worked through it. And
you were like kids when that was happening, right? I mean, of course that fucked with your self-esteem.
Yeah, I was like 16. So, and there was this like 30-year-old guy who was like, you have to like, and I was like, okay, like, I just want to make a record and sing. But yeah, shitty men exist. Stay away from them.
What is the, I mean, again, like you alluded to this a little bit as far as him trying to tell you how to sing, but what is the non-fun way to make music?
Recording drums one drum at a time is definitely a really bad way to start a record. Like
one drum at a time?
Yeah, like snare drum, play the snare part. Kick drum, play the kick part. And I was like, and for some reason he thought it'd be a good idea for me to like be tracking bass live to that. And it was fucking stupid.
We're spilling all the tea.
But yeah, we were talking about this last night though, like drummers that like, it's like cool. Like if you don't have the means to get a good drum recording, I'm all for it, dude. Like record the snare drum one at a time, do the drums, like or you know, whatever. But we had a perfectly fine drummer in like the studio we were spending way too much money on. Like let's just fucking get it. Like he knows the drum part. Let's just record it. Some overhead, some close mics, call it a fucking day. But no, we spent a whole days recording 4 songs. So definitely, I feel like that's like one way of doing it. I think that should have been the telltale sign that we were not doing it the right way. But I was like, oh, it's probably going to sound better because of that. But it sounded like a drum machine. Like I'm like we could have just sampled every drum different velocities and just and done it that way.
Creative differences.
It's more about time, though, you know, like the time you're spending on something.
It sounds like he had all of like the bad impulses of like Phil Spector without any of the genius.
Yeah, he definitely liked Phil Spector.
You hit the nail on the head. He definitely did not mention Phil Spector all the time.
He did?
He did, I think. Yeah.
Reading up on, I know the two of you met in high school, I think, but you and the other band members met in college in Albany, but you were studying the music business, right?
Yeah, so Joe, Dan, and I all went to the College of St. Rose, which is actually shut down. Crazy.
College of St. closed.
You graduated and they're like, all right.
Yeah, we graduated and they were like, we're never going to do better than this. So, but no, yeah, the school is open for over 100 years, so it's crazy, but I think they had some financial issues, and after COVID, I think it was just like too hard of a hit on them and they had to close. But yeah, we all graduated, and then Jake did not go to College of St. Rose, but we were living together. We had just started living together. He was living with my some other people that I went to school with, and you were just kind of like crashing at our place, which was pretty funny. And yeah, actually the craziest thing is we had started writing, together as Laveda, and we were working on the record, our first record, and Jake was like, oh, well, we need a drummer. So, and was like, Allie, do you know any drummers? And I was pretty new at the school because I originally went to SUNY Purchase. So I had transferred to St. Rose, and Jake put out what did you put out on Facebook?
Yeah, I don't know why I thought it was a good idea, but I'm glad it worked out, but I put it on DIY tour postings, which is I feel like that's not the place. I mean, maybe it is the place where you look for a drummer. I don't know. I was like, are there any drummers in the capital region that want to play shoegaze music? And Joe was the only response I got.
So. He was the only response. And I was like, oh, wait, I think I know that guy. He goes to my school. And we didn't really know each other other than we had seen each other in passing, and he was friends with one of my roommates. So I had seen him I think over at my place once or twice.
Yeah, I had already met him.
And actually he formally met Jake before he formally met me, which is so funny because and everybody thought that Jake went to St. Rose, even though he didn't, because he was just always around all the music kids. But yeah, essentially that's how we got Joe, and Joe's been with us since day one, pretty much. And we love him. He's our bestie.
Albany's drummer, as they call him.
He is. And then Dan, we had a different bass player when we started, and it just didn't really work out with him. And then we were looking for a bass player after maybe only maybe 4 months. I don't know. We had our first bass player, and then he left, and Joe was like, yeah, my roommate / best friend would love to join the band. He really likes the music, and he's a killer guitar player, and so he can play the bass. And we were like, cool, done. And we, tried him out, and he was fantastic, and that's been the lineup ever since. And we've continued to become more collaborative as we've gone on, which has been really fun, because it definitely started out as just Jake and I, and then teaching parts. And Dylan, our producer Dylan, was a big part of our original sort of lineup. He's, I guess, the ghost. He's the fifth Beatle of Laveda. But it's, with this new record, it's really the band. Dylan wasn't really part of it. I mean, he was a part of one song, actually. But he's a great friend of ours, and we send demos to him all the time. And yeah, that's a tangent. I don't know. I went on a total tangent there, but
I don't think I knew the chronology before, but now it strikes me hearing you talk about this experience you had when you were 16 years old, that maybe studying the music business was kind of a reaction to that really shitty experience.
it kind of was. Yeah, because I originally went to school for violin performance, and I was like, this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna like be a violinist. And I was still like I was, I guess I wasn't like planning on like quitting being in a band. I didn't really think about it. And after that first experience like kind of blew up, I think I just was like, I'm gonna focus on this other thing. And then after Laveda started, I was like, oh wait, I actually think this is what I want to do. And then I just couldn't bring myself to go back to the practice room because I was so excited about the potential of this other project. And practicing violin just made me like so mad. So I was like, I have to do something about this. And then I left Purchase to study music industry. So, yeah.
Are there any like transferable or applicable things that you learned on the music business side of things that you've been able to, I don't know, put into play since the band's been touring?
I think like in general, I learned some stuff. I think I mostly learned about recording. That's like what I took away from St. Rose. They had a really cool studio, and we got to actually use it, which was cool. And yeah, and obviously, like we met our bandmates through school or Facebook, technically.
So many
but
people that are like kind of like we've met so many. I mean, I didn't even fucking go there, but we've met so many people that are now just like our goats.
Yeah, Casey like is an entertainment lawyer. She's like one of our friends who went to St. Rose, and she like has helped us with some contracts.
Really, she's helped us through a lot of weird shit.
And we have some friends in LA who've from St. Rose who now live in LA, and they'll come see us if we're ever playing out there. And people are just bringing their friends out to see us, and the network in the family community is pretty strong. So that's cool.
And we met Scoops.
Oh yeah, and Scoops, who he engineered Love Darla and has worked on our other two records in some capacity. He mixed A Place You Grew Up In. He went to St. Rose, graduated a little before me, but yeah, and another Michael, they're band from Philly, but originally from Albany. Yeah, Nick Sebastiano. I moved into his room, which was crazy. He's the bass player for another Michael. So yeah, it's just like, it's cool to have like a community of other music people, and we're all like from St. Rose. So I think that's like the biggest takeaway for me. I didn't really like school particularly. I've never really been a very like academic person. Like I wanted to drop out, but I think the people kept me there.
Yeah, I feel like my time as a ghost student of St. Rose, I don't know. I was just so thankful of all the really awesome, like-minded musicians I got to meet, and I feel like it really, especially in that time period of my like songwriting life, I feel like it really influenced like the way I wrote music and like who I am today as a songwriter. I feel like my college experience was a little different. It's more classical based, and I learned a lot, and but I didn't really meet a lot of people that like really inspired me, but besides like a couple of people. But and also I think another huge thing is like, I think a lot of your generation, like I'm only like 2 or 3 years older, but the younger people I met at my school and all the people in Allie's class and Joe and Dan's class, like there's just so many good fucking songwriters, dude. What the fuck? Like I met when I was in college, one of my favorite songwriters that I met through my school was this guy named Jake Denning, who's a songwriter for both Free Casino and Bugcatcher. And he makes some good fucking songs. And he's still doing it. And we play shows together sometimes, and it's really cool. Sorry, that's my shout out. I'll shut up.
I should mention, because we're not using the video, but there's a giant face and a bow directly behind you.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
Oh, you can see that. Oh.
I think every time we like hop on a Zoom call or something, like someone like mentions the bass and we're like, oh, right, we forget that it's there. Because it doesn't get played as much as it should probably, but
it's mine.
That's Jake's.
This is where you live, but it also, I mean, you turned it into a recording studio. You got the rug down there. There were just kind of guitars lying around all over the place.
Oh, yeah. It's very much an active space of recording every day. That's what I was doing right before this phone call, actually. Yeah, we're super lucky to have like a pretty big apartment. We're a full house. We're 5 of us, which is crazy, in one apartment, 1 bathroom. But we're all musicians and we're all night owls, so it just works. And there's a lot of space. So
yeah, I also like New York City, and I was thinking about this. It strikes me. So the first album is in like a lot of ways is a product of the pandemic, but also a product of living in Albany. This album is very much a product of moving to the city, in terms of like subject matter. And somebody mentioned Sonic Youth, and I'm like, yeah, like Sonic Youth is definitely all over this record. And if I was reading, if my reading comprehension is okay, the second album kind of was influenced by a trip to California.
Yeah, definitely. We
kind of in the middle of it, but yeah.
Yeah, it was we started writing the second album in our apartment during like lockdown, or maybe a little after lockdown, so things were starting to open up again, but life was very much not normal. And then we decided that it would be a good time to drive across the country and record with Dylan, since he had moved out there. He got a job working for Beck. So essentially was like, yeah, he's going to be like gone for a little bit, like on tour or whatever. And I'll be free for a little bit so we can record and just hang out. And so we got an Airbnb, and we actually moved out of our apartment and put all of our stuff into a storage unit, and then just went out there for like a month and a half. And we did most of the record at the Zorithian Ranch. That's where we stayed. Zorithian, sorry. Yeah, and we saw that it totally like got destroyed in the fires recently, which is really sad. But I guess all the animals and the people made it out, so that's what's most important. But it was a very magical place to record. It was very cool.
I'm so happy Kitty made it out. That's not her name, but there was a really good cat that would hang out with us while we were recording, and we would sometimes let her inside and we'd hold her around. She was the best cat ever. But I'm glad she's okay. But I think she was a huge influence on the record too, for me at least.
How so?
She's just so freaking cute. And she was also like, Dan's like really allergic to cats, and he was like sleeping outside because he thought it was like such like perfect weather the whole time we were there. So he set up a tent and just slept outside every night.
Oh, he was crazy for doing that.
Yeah, that was some next level energy. But the cat started terrorizing him at night because the cat just wanted to hang out.
I'm allergic too. Cats love people who are allergic to them.
Yeah, like what the heck? Every time it's always him. Like if we're staying at someone's house on tour, we'll all be like, oh, like we try, to avoid cats for his sake, but sometimes it's inevitable. And he's like, it's fine. And they go straight to him. And we're like, what the hell?
Yeah, especially like touring a lot. This is kind of a side note, but usually really cool people that are usually like maybe also musicians that are willing to let 4 strangers sleep in their house. 9 times out of 10, they probably have at least a cat or 2 cats. Because cool people have cats.
That's what I was gonna say.
As you're talking about putting all your stuff in a storage space, moving across country, I really appreciate that because it like there's no half measure there, right? There's like we're going to do this, and this kind of needs to work out.
Yeah, very much so. It was we took like our desktop computer out there because we weren't going to a recording studio. We were going to an Airbnb, and we took like as much recording equipment as we possibly could and instruments. And then Dylan brought the rest of his stuff, and we just set up a whole studio there, which was crazy. But yeah, and like we were done with our lease in Troy, and we didn't really have like a plan. So we were like, all right, let's do it. And then we came back and we got another place in Troy. But it was definitely a risk,
Yeah, making that record was definitely like a healing process for me as well, because like my mom had just passed away from cancer after a very long and grueling battle of cancer. But I think it was something that we kind of also needed to do because she was really close with Allie as well. Like she was close. She was our family, both of our families. But I think leaving New York, I think, was really important to actually be able to finish the record because I couldn't do it there. Like I literally couldn't. Yeah. But I was thankful that we had the opportunity to be able to do something like that with like the unemployment money.
For real. Shout out unemployment money.
Because we both had lost our jobs because of the pandemic, so we were non-essential.
It's not even so much that like you decided it was all or nothing. It's almost that you just didn't really have a choice in the matter.
Yeah, because I had to finish it. Like we both had to finish it because it was. I don't know.
Well, we really wanted to work with Dylan, so we were like, okay, well, we'll just go to him because he was like, I don't think I can come to New York. And we were like, perfect. We'll just come to LA, even though it was crazy.